think you are the second guest to ever take my seat, so I appreciate you being in.
Sorry.
No, you asserted dominance. I liked it.
Wardrobe malfunction.
I've known you now for a hot minute, but
Yeah, it's
what
been a
kind
while.
of spurred this was I saw your video on Instagram not too long ago talking about possibly doing some jiu-jitsu content.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always been a competitor for the majority of the time that I've known you. What is this push towards like content creation now?
I guess in short, I have gotten enough following on a few of my platforms that I am making a little bit of money off of it. Not a whole lot. I mean, that's not my only drive. I love jujitsu, and I feel like I genuinely have quite a bit of knowledge just from being at tournaments so often, and from teaching the kids class so much. And I think it might open up other doors for me to learn from other people too. And if you're, if you're not learning, I don't think you're living.
So is the content creation more of a process of showing people what you've learned, or is it a continuation of the process of learning?
A little bit of both. Definitely both, and just opening up discussion about jujitsu, because jujitsu is always changing too. And I think if people aren't talking about it, and like I said, if you're not learning, you're not living. And I feel like people get stuck in their own gym, in their own, with their own partners, with their own like instructors, and either that or they're out getting information from people that don't really know what they're talking about. And I just kind of want the jiu-jitsu community to, especially in St. Louis, to hear from somebody that has traveled all over and seen a lot and done a lot. So
Let's dissect that a little bit, if you don't mind me.
yeah.
So the first part is like kind of relegated towards cross training and branching out and all that. I would say that if there was ever a martial art where I feel like that's a little bit difficult, I would say that jiu-jitsu is the one, because there is this homage, this legacy, this lineage respect.
Yeah.
Like if you go from Gracie Humaita, you're under that banner. If you're under like the Vagi banner, technically still the Gracie family, but it's a different lineage, legacy group. Do you know why that is? Like, have you been able to deduce where that kind of, I want to be careful how I say this, not necessarily restriction, but kind of a restriction, but out of respect. Like people kind of do it out of their own respect for that lineage. But where does that come from?
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's very, and I don't want to sound, this might come off bad, and I don't mean it in a bad way at all, but I feel like it's a very Brazilian mindset. And I don't mean, like I said, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just feel like that stems from gyms down in Brazil and being very loyal to the gym that you're training at, because they work so hard, and it's like you become brothers and sisters down there. I actually mean it in a good way. But like I said earlier, jiu-jitsu has evolved so much, and especially here in the Midwest, I feel like our resources are different because we have the wrestling background and stuff like that. And I get it to an extent, right? And where I'm at, I have very, very a very high sense of loyalty to my coach. However, he's always encouraged me to cross train. He's never restricted me, and I think there's a fine line that coaches need to tiptoe, and because cross training helps your students. If one of your students wants to leave, then I mean, by all means, you're paying to be there. Like you can't make people stay. And I think whenever people get too hung up on no cross training, we have to be loyal. Like this is our team, then it hinders people, and it makes people actually want to leave the team.
Do you think, by the way, your coach is Kirk Huff, correct?
Yeah.
At Arnold BJJ.
Yep.
So technically the lineage would be under Mike Rogers, who would be under Rodrigo Vagi, would be under Hicks and Gracie. So like there is a lineage there. And then Kirk's mentality or his approach to it is like, no, go out there, train with whoever, go wherever. Is that also because he possibly understands your goals with this, and because you are trying to compete regularly? Like, there is no one person that knows everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He'll if somebody asks him a question and he thinks somebody else is really good at it or has a lot of knowledge in that specific position or whatever it may be, he will literally go, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. You go ask them whether they're on the team or not. They could be Gracie Humana guy. They could be just anywhere. Like if they are really good at it, he'll send you directly to that person. And that's something I've always respected about him. And
Do you think that's something that's changing in jiu-jitsu over the course of time? Like, do you think it was this way prior and no longer, or do you think it's still kind of this way? Or do you think it's this way and it is changing? Like, two things can be right at the same time, right? Just wanted to take a second to pause the action and just tell you guys, thank you so much for consuming our content. Easy Talk is a passion project. This podcast is just a bunch of like-minded people coming together to produce some cool stuff and talk to some cool people. One of the things I would very much appreciate is if you could possibly like the video or subscribe to the channel, just because it helps us in the algorithm and ultimately to grow, to get more exposure to everybody, including ourselves, and ultimately just make a better product. Take a second, I'd greatly appreciate it, and on with the show.
yeah, I definitely think that it is evolving into that. There are still a few gyms. I have one at the top of my mind that I won't name, that still definitely restricts their students. And I kind of see it crumbling before their eyes.
Oh, wow, in real time?
What?
In real time?
Yeah, and it's frustrating too because sometimes the students will come to our gym and they can't be in the picture because they can't be seen. And
That's so stupid.
I know, it's so silly because these people just want to go out there and train with other people in the community. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. And like I said, I feel like it hinders not only the students, but the gym itself. And if you go into a gym and the coach acts like they are all knowing, get out.
Yeah.
Get out. That's not.
There's a fine line between a jiu-jitsu gym and a cult.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. I think jiu-jitsu is a little culty.
Well, not even jiu-jitsu, but like also martial arts in general. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've been to some gyms that are like MMA gyms where they call like the coach like sensei and stuff like that, and I'm like, yikes.
We say that jokingly.
Yeah. If it's not tongue in cheek, it's a red flag.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong. We definitely poke fun and stuff like that, but it was more of like, if that is the status quo, if that is the serious nature, I'm out, dog.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's freaking weird.
you recently took some time away from competition, and there's like a structure of this conversation that I want to have. There's the competition that you used to have in MMA, but I would say that recently you've definitely geared more towards jiu-jitsu. But recently I hadn't seen you as much on the jiu-jitsu scene until the past couple months. In the nicest way that I can ask, like, what was going on? What was happening?
So I don't even know a time frame that I could give you, because for a while, even while I was still competing at blue and purple, towards the end of my purple career, really, like not this last meet getting back, but I would say about 2 years ago or so, I was drinking really heavily, and to the point where I was waking up and I was drinking about a fifth a day, if not more. And I was still managing to wake up, go to work all day, teach kids class, then train, and then go smash a fifth. So I did that for a while. And
So a functioning alcoholic.
yeah, very much so. And
did
then,
anybody have any idea? Like, did you talk about it with anybody, or did anyone kind of notice it?
Kirk started to notice, because my training definitely, it started to affect my training,
Of course.
obviously.
Yeah.
So he was the first one to notice and the first one to really say something to me. And then I remember I said to him, if I miss work one more time, I'm going to call and I'm going to go to rehab. And the day that I missed work, that one more time, I actually did. I'm proud of myself that I did that. And then I went about 3 times. And the first time I stayed for a month, second time I stayed for a month, and then the third time I stayed for like 72 days. And then I met somebody in there that I became friends with, and I was sober for about a month after, and I started drinking again, and their drug of choice was meth. And I knew that they had relapsed, and I had relapsed myself. And like, our brains are so weird. This like fucked up thought for so long, like my whole life, that I've always wanted to try it because I had heard other people talk about how it's the greatest feeling in the world. even though it ruined their life. Like, it's the greatest feeling in the world. There's nothing like it. And, you know, everybody thinks they're special. Everybody thinks, oh, it won't do that to me. I won't, you know.
Are we talking about specifically meth?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And so I tried it. I did it for like a week, and then I stopped for a week. And then I randomly hung out with somebody, and they asked me if I partied. And I thought they were talking about Coke, which still isn't good. But I was wrong. And then from there, I used for about 4 months straight, just day in and day out. That's all I did. Yeah.
No shit.
Yep.
Recently, like, we want to talk about.
I've been sober in January to be 2 years.
God bless.
Yep.
If you don't mind, I want to be careful how I ask these questions because
you won't offend me.
It's not even about offensive. It's like I'm trying to be respectful more than anything.
Yeah.
I know that I can't offend you, but I still don't want to come across as disrespectful.
Yeah.
What is it about? So, like, I can speak about myself first to kind of help bridge this gap a little bit. I like alcohol. I think that a slight inebriation kind of amplifies a lot of the characteristics that actually make for a good podcast.
Yeah.
However, I'm fully aware that I like that. So it's not just like, oh, I like the taste of alcohol. I like the taste of whiskey. I like the taste of wine. It's like, no. I also like how it makes me feel. Yeah. And I know that there's a slippery slope with anything that either creates serotonin or dopamine in the brain, and that you can become addicted to anything in this planet. Okay, there was a long time where people were trying to tell me that, oh, I can't get addicted to weed. I'm like, dude, you can get addicted to, I know people that are addicted to drinking water. You know what I mean? So like, relax. Like, anything can become an addiction.
Yeah.
It is one of those things where I'm cognizantly in use of, but also just kind of lording over myself. Like, I don't drink at home alone, right? I create these artificial boundaries for myself. Like, okay, no drinks before a certain time on the weekday, and then on the weekend I have to be doing something. So like, obviously during a podcast, acceptable. When I'm at home, not acceptable unless we have guests. And if we have guests, they have to be drinking as well. It's not like just people come over and like, all right, time to have a drink. And it sounds stupid because I'm a grown adult, and it's like I'm kind of putting these hurdles on myself, but they're actually just a way for me to kind of create these limitations to constantly remind myself that I'm not addicted. Yeah. That this is something that I just enjoy, and that it's not consuming me or I'm going too far. Yeah. And the day that I can no longer kind of accept the boundaries that I've presented for myself,
follow them,
then if I start drinking, like, oh man, it's another rough day at work. I get home and I want to pour a whiskey and no one's at home and it's a dark room. That's dark, right? Yeah. Or guests are over and no one's drinking. Well, I'm gonna crack open a cold one. No, doesn't sound right. So like, the second that I start kind of breaking these boundaries that I've started setting for myself, then I know that there's like a problem. So far, so good, and I haven't really felt like the need for it. But it's one of those things where I've heard so many people talking about drug use and like this slippery slope. It's not that I believe I will get addicted or that I am addicted. It's more, if anything, like a safety net. To constantly remind myself that I'm okay. Ariane, you're fine. Relax.
Yeah, and I think anybody should live that way with anything. You know, balance is key, whether it's alcohol or not. And it's weird because, you know, most people that have gone to rehab, they really live and die by AA, NA. And I respect the what it's done for a lot of people, and it's helped.
AA is Alcoholics Anonymous?
Yep, okay, and then NA is Narcotics Anonymous. And I respect what it's done for a lot of people, and it did help me. And I've heard people's stories and things like that, and learned a lot from those meetings. However, that's not me. That's not what keeps me sober. That's not what I need. And I think some of the culture behind it, also a little culty, some of the culture behind it kind of hinders people. It makes people believe that like this disease is always gonna control their life. I believe that I control my life. At one point, those things did. However, I pulled myself out of it, you know, with help along the way. But it's not like this monkey that's always going to be on my back. Like, I truly believe one day if I want to have a drink after I've been sober for a few years, I think that I could. I don't really want to because I don't want to risk it, you know. But I've seen people go and be sober for a while, and then they can casually drink. I'm not telling people to go do that because some people absolutely can't. But there's also another program that people do, and it's called smart recovery, and they don't like in Alcoholics Anonymous. You always introduce yourself like, "Hi, I'm Dakota. I'm an alcoholic," and they don't believe that that's good for your brain because you're constantly telling yourself, "I am this. I am this. I am this," and really, we're just humans. We don't need to put ourselves in a box. We're so dynamic. We're not just alcoholics. Like, we're not just whatever drug of choice that you are. And I feel like if you constantly put yourself in that box, you're never going to get out. And it's always going to keep you shambled, whether you're sober or not.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I want to ask two questions. The first one's going to seem very obtuse. Why is it that they think that's acceptable to say, like, "Hi, I'm Dakota. I'm an alcoholic"? Like, obviously, there was a time previous to alcohol where you weren't an alcoholic.
Right.
So it's not that you are this thing. And if you're actively trying to not become that thing anymore, then that means you're not that thing. So, like, I'm trying to understand, like, the nuance between, like, why would you initiate by saying, I guess it's like this freedom of being able to speak freely. Like, what is
that? And I think it's because they, and in their culture and in the meetings, their mindset behind it is that you're constantly reminding yourself that you can't drink or that you can't do this because you are an alcoholic. And like, I get some of it, like I said.
Is the goal to never not become an alcoholic? Like, that's the thing I'm trying to understand is, like, isn't the goal to, like, get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm Dakota.
Right,
I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah, that's.
Am I crazy here?
No,
Okay.
and it took me a long time to see that.
Okay.
And like I said, I love a lot of the people that still all go to the meetings, and it saved a lot of people's lives. It really has.
Of course. By also preface it, I am by no means knocking any of this.
No,
I'm
yeah.
just simply asking questions.
And I think that if you don't ask questions about certain things, then like I said, it gets a little cold.
How does it get better?
Yeah, right. And the recovery rate really isn't all that high for AA and NA. Like, a lot of people go back, a lot of people relapse, and I think that something needs to be said about that, and something needs to be looked at from the system. Like, I don't know.
Well, I also think
I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for that from my rehab friends.
I don't understand why. I mean, you're objectively kind of looking into the nuance of it, and if it is the case that there is, like, this high relapse rate, then perhaps there is something wrong. Okay, I don't want to use the word wrong, but, you know,
something that could be done
if
better.
you do the same thing and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
And then over the course of time, you take a larger and larger sample size of your data acquisition to then decide, okay, like, are there things that we can change about this process? Like, at what point are people relapsing? If there's, like, what is it called, the 12-step program or whatever? At what step is, like, the highest propensity for relapse or
Right.
people to stop coming to rehab or anything of these things? I would also say that maybe this is, like, my ignorance speaking, but if someone is coming to you in search of a solution and all people are different, then by definition, it's, like, acceptable to admit that this one size will not fit all.
Right. It's not the only way.
Some people will respond very positively to AA or NA, and some people might not. So, like, maybe it would be in our benefit to look at possibly expanding this to, like, multiple programs, not just necessarily, like, a single path.
Me and the person that I first tried meth with, we were supposed to be going to a meeting, but we did meth instead. I mean, if you put two addicts together that are on the brink of just wanting to ruin their life and they're not in a good mindset, what do you think they're going to do?
So if I may ask, I want to kind of deep dive on that because I've never in my life experienced a moment where I felt like I wanted to self-sabotage, okay? And you're not
I'm jealous.
Well, you're not a dumb girl. The
No.
way you speak, you articulate yourself pretty well. You've obviously developed a pretty good repertoire in jiu-jitsu. It's not like you're dumb or low IQ. So obviously these are things that you've kind of, even if it was, like, at a subconscious level, you were aware of. So my question to you is, clearly you are aware of the destructive nature. Where is this want or this desire stemming from for you to participate in these acts?
I think I've always kind of lived, like, a more risky lifestyle.
As a wild child?
Yeah. I mean,
Are you an adrenaline junkie?
absolutely. That's
Okay.
why I started doing MMA. For sure, 100%. I was 15 the first time I ever did my first line of coke. I was in a car driving around at, like, 3 a.m. whenever I was supposed to be at my friend's house sleeping. Like, that's not normal. I guess, I mean, it kind of was from where I'm from, actually. I was with other girls around my age. And I mean,
Do you think if you grew up in a different environment, that is what you would have gravitated towards? This is like a nature versus nurture question.
you know, maybe I did have good parents, you know, so I don't want it to seem like I grew up wildly because of my parents. However, we were very broke, and sometimes life looks a little different whenever you're very broke. And I stayed at my grandma's a lot because I went to a different school district than where we actually lived. I can say that now because I won't get kicked out of school.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, 10 years later. But we actually lived in like a little tiny 2-bedroom apartment in South Roxana, and I went to Bethalto School District because my cousin, who is a year older than me, she went there, and we had moved from Wisconsin down to the Bethalto area over in Illinois, and I didn't want to go to a school where I didn't know anyone. So that's
So you used their address. And said, I live
and I
with
stayed at my grandma's a lot because it was closer. And I just kind of took advantage of that. My grandma went to bed super early. I'd snuck out, be gone all night, creep back in the morning. You know what I mean? And so that, and my cousin also, she was older. She hung out with older people, even older people than her. So it gave me the opportunity to hang out with older people that were partying because they were around the age where it was kind of normal for them to party, where it wasn't normal for me. But
listening to you say this, though, makes me believe that it is actually nature and not nurture. Because it sounds like to me you did have two loving parents, and like they were kind of just trying to like assimilate you to the process of education that you wanted the most.
Yeah.
Which is I wanted to go around people that I knew, and God
and it
bless.
was a better school.
Yeah, and it was a better school. God bless your grandma, but yeah, she went to bed early, and I'm sure because you were around people where this was more commonplace. I mean, how can you go to a party if there's no parties available, right? Or how can you be doing these drugs if those drugs aren't there? And I'm not, by the way, I'm not trying to sound like this is not your fault, because at the end of the day, we are lords of our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our own decisions. But what I will say is, you know, when I was 18, 17, 16, I didn't have these options as much. Like I could go to parties, but the extent of our parties was like drinking.
Yeah.
And then the extent of that drinking was like cheap beer, right?
Doing
We didn't
Molly,
have
acid.
Coke. We didn't have, I didn't have any of these options.
Yeah.
They weren't presented to me until about college level. And by then I was already like, I was training, fighting, working. I was just like, I'll dabble. By the way, I'm not like, I want to be careful how much I say for obvious reasons, but like I've dabbled in a lot of things. Yeah. But I also was fortunate to experiment when I was a little bit older. Because if you would have caught me at like 14, 15, 16, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, like it definitely, now that we're like kind of looking at it, definitely it was just my environment. And my mom tried very hard to interject and stop it. She was I remember having to come home in the middle of the night on the drop of a dime because she felt like something was off. And I was rolling. And I had to come home in the middle of the night, and I just tried to act normal. And I think I was grounded all summer because of it. And I just walked my dog every day after that. I didn't really party, but...
So what you're saying is grounding works.
For the most part, yeah.
Do you think, this is a question I have as a father, it's kind of biased. One of the things, I have a daughter, and one of the things that I noticed when I was a younger guy was the girls that were really sheltered or like really relegated to not being able to do anything, the second they got an ounce of freedom went wild.
Absolutely.
So for me as a father, I know that I don't want to like limit my daughter from experiencing things because then curiosity will take hold. But I also don't want to put her in these positions or even allow for her to be in these positions where she could be taken advantage of for her youth and inexperience.
Right. And
because
it'd
as a
be
woman,
dangerous.
100%, as a woman, I'd like to think that, masculinity is on the rise and proper manhood is being learned. But I'm not a fool. You know what I mean? I know
it's always going to be dangerous.
there's always predators out there.
Always.
So like for me, I'm listening to this story and it sounds like there's a lot of aspects of these things that I would do as a parent, but then there's like, then you tell me like, oh, I'd be out drinking and I'd be doing this stuff. And it kind of petrifies me.
It is scary.
As a father, because I'm like, well, dude, how will I know? I don't want to be my daughter's friend because like I don't want her to feel like she could just get away with murder, but I also don't want to feel like her prisoner.
Right.
Or her warden.
Yeah, and you want her to be able to come to you with things if
100%,
she does mess up,
100%.
or even before maybe.
I don't want her to go to her friends. I don't want her to go to like some guy. I want her to come to me.
Yeah.
Dad, I really fucked up. This is what happened. Okay, we'll figure it out.
I think for me, the big hiccup of like where things kind of started to get crazy whenever I was an adult, and my drinking got out of hand was after my mom died. So before my mom died, I was over partying. I had started doing MMA. I was working full time. I was working like 60 hours a week, if not more, plus training, fighting.
You didn't have time to be stupid.
Yeah, and I was over it. I had a fake ID all through high school. I went to bars. I went to parties. I did every drug under the sun that
It was
you
out of your
could. I
system.
went to raves. Like, yeah, I was done with it. I really was. And then, I watched my mom die, and it was like sudden. It wasn't like she'd been sick for a long time. So it was a lot to process, obviously. It's always going to be a lot to process. But
Do you mind if I ask what was the cause?
she had a brain aneurysm rupture. Yeah. So after
How old
that,
were you?
I was 20. And my little sister was with me, and she was 9. Yeah. It was tough. It was really tough.
Is your father still alive?
Yep. And they'd been together for 30 years whenever it happened. Yeah, I was on my way to work. I worked like a swing shift, and my little sister called me. It was Halloween, and I remember because I was wearing Frankenstein socks to work that day. And she was 9, and she said, "Buki," that's my nickname in my family. She said, "Buki, Mom needs you." She just threw up blood. And so I rushed back home. I picked her up, and she was throwing up like repeatedly next to me in the car. And I'm going like 100 miles per hour to the emergency room. And I get her there. The nurse is there. I have nothing nice to say about the nurses there. Although talking to other people, there wasn't a whole lot that could be done, but they were not listening. I couldn't even get a cup of water from my fucking mom. And then I'm, calling my dad, calling my siblings. I have 4 other siblings, and my dad gets there. And the second my dad gets there, she's holding me, and she says, "Buki, help me, help me." And then she says, "I'm going under." And her eyes rolled in the back of her head, and she had a seizure in my dad's arms, and that was the last time I saw her alive. They flew her to Barnes, and then they called it that night.
Was this the catalyst for a lot of changes in your life?
Absolutely. Everything changed my life.
What was your relationship like with your mother? What words would you use to describe your mother?
Hilarious. Loving. The most loving person I ever knew.
If you need, well, I mean, I've
No,
cried
it's
on this
okay.
podcast before. Don't.
It's okay.
I'll cry with you. Shit.
Loyal. So loyal to my dad and to us. She was a really good mom and really cared. And she became my friend after I was an adult. After I moved out, I went to college for like a semester, and then I moved back home. And then we were best friends after that. So she did really good because I was deathly afraid of my mom, but also could go to my mom with anything.
Oh, it's a good relationship to have.
It was perfect because she could look at me whenever I was a little kid, and I would zip right up,
That's the relationship I want with my daughter.
She did a very good job at that. And like I said, she put the fear of God in me, but at the same time, I wasn't afraid to talk to her about absolutely anything. I knew she would figure it out and help me figure it out, and she'd be there. But then at the same time, whenever I got older, she was my best friend. I called her every single day. I'd get done with training, call my mom in the car. I'd wake up, and if I wasn't at home, I'd call my mom, "What are you doing for the day?" If I was staying the night somewhere, I'd call my mom, "Good night, love you." I probably called her like 5 to 10 times a day. She probably got annoyed by me sometimes, but
And she didn't have like a previous history of any sort of like illnesses or anything like that.
she had really high blood pressure.
Throughout her life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
did it affect her quality of life? Like, was it something that you guys noticed?
yeah, she got migraines frequently, and we were, like I said, growing up, we were pretty broke. Actually, so my dad had a really good job, and then during the stock market crash, like in the early 2000s, he lost his position.
The .com crash?
I don't know exactly.
2000 to 2001?
Yeah.
Yeah, .com crash.
Yeah.
All right.
He lost was like the VP of a company, and it was an Israeli company, and he was the only American, and they're very loyal to family. So he was getting paid a lot, and so he was kind of the first ones to go. And I mean, my dad even understood because, like I said, they're very, very loyal culture.
Well, it's corporate America.
It's just, yeah, it
Sorry.
is what it is. And that's business. And he had to go. And that's why we actually moved to this area. So, because they're from this area originally, and we were living up in Wisconsin at the time. I kind of lost my train of thought. Where was I going?
I was talking about specifically your mom and
Oh.
the high blood pressure. Did it
Yep.
affect your quality of life?
So when my dad lost his job there, our lives changed and we were very broke, and I was like 12. So at the time, we were still very broke, and my mom had stopped taking her blood pressure medicine, and she was letting me live at home for free. I had a new car. I was working 60, 70 hours a week. I could have paid for it. I still get very angry thinking about it sometimes, but she
Why?
because she could have asked me and I would have paid for it.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this right now. There'll never become a time where I ever ask my daughter for a penny. And in fact, she probably liked that you were living there, stocking up some cash.
That's
probably
exactly
made her
what she
feel better.
wanted. Yeah.
I'm telling you, like,
Yeah.
I would never. Not that I know anything about your mom or anything like that, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, as a parent, I think she did exactly what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that might not align with what you would have wanted to do, with hindsight being 2020.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
I guess the question that I want to ask is, so when my mom passed, I was 19 years old as well, but it was like a back and forth battle with cancer, and then remission, and then coming back, and all these things. Anyway, fast forward the 10 years that she fought it, finally she passed. I had to wrestle with like, my frustration with her passing was like a deep-seated anger with God, because
Me too.
it was like she got sick, she was good. She got sick, she was good. I was like, bro. And then the words that I would use to describe my mom were very similar to yours, like caring, loving, all these other things. Like, she was the paragon of my life. So when she passed, there was a void, a vacuum within me where I was like, what is this all for?
Yeah.
You know, and actually that's why I think I got into fighting, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
If my mom would have been alive, I don't think I would have ever fought.
Really?
I would have just gone to school, got my degree, started corporate
Really?
America. But
My mom actually is the reason I started fighting. And she was still alive when I started.
she liked it.
Ronda Rousey, yes, we always ordered fights, always. Back whenever it was actually like just once a month or maybe every other month, and it was a thing and more fun, I feel like. But it was the first time Ronda Rousey was the headline, and
Against Liz Carmouche for the belt.
and she looked at me and she said, "You, out of all my kids, you could do that." And that summer is whenever I walked into the first jiu-jitsu gym ever.
Which gym was that?
It was called Infinity 8. It doesn't exist
Doesn't
anymore.
exist anymore.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys though.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Anthony Springman opened the door. Super nice guy. Love him.
So to go back to there's a macro conversation to be had about your career and all that, but before I put a pin on this point in this conversation, because I think there's still some value to be getting out of this, if you don't mind. Your mom passed, and this was the catalyst to really open the floodgates for substance abuse.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, okay, I'm going to ask this. Please don't hate me.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're using that as an excuse?
I think for a long time, I think maybe right in the beginning, I wanted to numb myself. And then I use this exact phrase a lot. And then I was wallowing in my own self-pity. And I just couldn't get myself out of the habits I had created. And at that point, that's like,
A spiral.
yes. And so, yes, I do.
I'm sad, so I do, so I'm sad, so I
just
do,
doesn't
so I'm
stop.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the beginning, everybody's got a reason for things, right? But that doesn't mean that you have to react that way. That doesn't mean and it could even be a good reason. Yeah, I watched my mom die. It's really sad. I really fucking miss her. She was everything to me and to my family. She was the glue to my family. And, but I could have went the complete opposite way, right? I could have, and I did for a little bit. So it's weird because I went through phases, and grief is messy. Obviously, everybody knows that. That's lost somebody. So right in the beginning, I drank by myself. I numbed myself. And then I found Arnold Brazilian Jiu Jistu. Then I numbed myself with Jiu Jitsu. I really didn't
How old
drink.
were you when you found Arnold? Forgive me. I'm just trying
21.
to put okay, so 20 your mom passes, you immediately start with alcohol, but then around 21 you find Arnold BJJ, Kirk Huff, and then you start wrapping yourself around martial arts.
Yep. But I think looking back,
Were they aware of, forgive me for asking this, but when you started doing jiu-jitsu and martial arts, were the people around you aware of the pain that you were going through?
no.
No. So you were doing a good job of also kind of masking it to everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I did. And I'd say I didn't take care of my mental health. I thought that Band-Aid or jiu-jitsu would just slap a Band-Aid right on me, and that was good because it took my mind off of it. So I thought that was the answer, you know. I didn't actually deal with it. And then I started drinking just occasionally, and then I'd have a glass of wine after practice, and then I'd have 2 glasses. And then I'd finish the bottle. It just kind of progressed after that, and then it built.
Tolerance is a
built.
bitch.
Yeah, and then it just kind of built and built and built. It took a long time, and I was still able to be very successful for a very long time because I in the beginning I didn't drink. I just was so hyper focused on training, like especially before I fought on Bellator. I trained like minimum 4 hours a day, maximum 8. And I mean, I say that doesn't mean I'm out there doing like crazy workouts for 8 hours a day, but I'm either drilling, doing something that relates to getting ready for the fight.
How old were you when you fought Gilbert Melendez's wife?
How old was I?
Because that was your Bellator debut, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That was my pro debut.
Yeah. That was also, I think, on short notice for you, correct?
About a month and a half, 2 months, I think.
Okay, never mind. That's about a good camp.
Yeah.
12 months ideal, but 6 to 8 weeks isn't out of the realm of possibility. By the way, fucking shout out for pro debut, Jesus Christ.
Thanks. Thanks.
And you also did very well. We'll get to that here shortly.
Thanks.
We were talking about Arnold BJJ coming in.
Yeah.
Was the Band-Aid for your mom for at least a little bit of time, but then as time progressed, you didn't do a good job of actually dealing with your grief, healing from these wounds, both mental and spiritual.
Yep.
I would be curious to ask how long until you started realizing that it was becoming a problem again.
I was in denial for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at White and in the beginning of my blue belt career, I worked so fucking hard. I drilled so much. I put in so much time on the mats that carried me for a long time. All that work that I did carried me for a very long time, and I was just still smashing people and still being kind of a shithead on the side. So I justified it.
Forgive me, when you say carried you, can you extract, what do you mean by carried? You mean like carrying you through the
I wasn't drilling the same way. I wasn't working hard. I wasn't a workhorse anymore because I had started drinking. I kind of got a little lazy.
So you started hard, and because you kind of developed early, that was able to carry you when you started drinking and you were starting to fall off a little bit. You were still performing well.
Yes, in the tournaments.
But you weren't progressing as you probably should have been had you not been. Okay, forgive me. That's why I asked.
Yeah, and I wasn't myself that, I feel as if whenever people, especially back then, thought of me or saw me in the gym, they thought, oh, that girl works hard. And I wasn't that person towards the end of my blue belt career because of the drinking and because I had gotten lazy, because like I said, I was able to still have success in my tournaments. But I feel like everybody kind of has to check themselves. And everybody can get a little lazy whenever they start having success.
Of course.
So...
Well,
but then add in the drinking, and it makes it worse.
It's hard to be on year round. I mean, every sport has an off season.
Yeah, true. Except for jiu-jitsu. So
that's how except for
you got to
fighting.
make yourself one. Or
during this fall off period, you're starting to train at Arnold BJJ. You're obviously developing a friendship with these people. I'm sure you're starting to hang out with the people outside of the gym.
Yeah.
Was this ever noticed? Your lifestyle outside of the gym, was it ever noticed by some of the people in the gym? Were there ever those conversations beforehand, like, hey, Dakota, you went from a glass to a bottle of wine, like, did anyone ever step in?
like I said, Kirk. And then he definitely went out of his way to kind of, in a loving way, tell people, you know, hey, like, if we went to a tournament or something out of town, and after the tournament, a lot of people, you know, like to
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go get drinks. Let's go party. Let's go have fun.
He asked them like, hey, can we maybe not have any alcohol this weekend, like even after everybody's competed, because, you know, Dakota is struggling. And at the time I was pissed
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
because I wanted to drink, obviously. But now looking back, I know it was out of caring for me and wanting to see my success and happiness, really. And some people respected it and some people didn't. Some people still drank around me, which now I don't care, it like at all. But at the time, since I was like in that mental struggle where I really wanted to, and I was around somebody that didn't want me to, that fight would be there, and I felt like I'm a grown ass woman. I can do what I want. And now looking back, it's like, okay, but you weren't acting like one, Dakota. You were acting like a child, and you needed somebody to step in and say, hey, like, what you're doing is not good. So.
And that was when you were about like what, 22, 23 years old? Because I'm trying to.
I'd say
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to
the
the point where we're
timeline.
at today.
I'd say
20
Trying to
mom
think.
passes. We find Arnold BJJ. We engross ourselves in Jiu Jitsu, but then over the course of time,
24.
24. Okay, so over the course of first
2 years.
3 years, you're hitting it hard, getting into MMA, getting to Jiu Jitsu.
Mhm.
Martial arts is kind of shielding you from a lot of these, I want to be careful how I say this, temporary wounds that should have been healed first, but anyway.
Yeah.
And then around like 24, we start seeing the ugliness kind of rear its head and come back.
Yeah.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what was it where you were like, okay, this is too much now?
Consistently missing work, and I really liked my job. So I mean, and I eventually walked off the job just out of stress, and I went to rehab whenever I was working for that job, and it just got to be too much. And so ultimately drinking is what made me lose the job. I mean, I walked off, but eventually I think my drinking would have led me to lose the job anyways, and I self-sabotage, you know. I wanted to cut it off before they could cut me off, you know.
Yeah. You wanted to quit. You didn't want to get fired.
Mm-hmm. Which I should have got fired. I could have got,
Yeah,
money
I was
from the
gonna say,
government.
in hindsight.
I've never been one to really try to do that anyways, but.
So you quit that job, and that's when you thought, okay, I need to get rehab? Like,
Oh, I went to rehab before that. I went to rehab twice, and then I went to rehab again after I quit the job.
so obviously the first time, okay, I want to be careful how I say this. I don't want to say it didn't work.
It didn't.
Man,
I drank probably 3 days after I left.
If I sound
It
like
didn't.
obtuse or ignorant, I'm sorry. It's because I
That's okay.
am. Obviously, the first time it didn't work, and then you quit your job, and then you go to rehab again afterwards.
I went to rehab again while I was still working there.
Gotcha.
For the second time. And then I came back, and I had started drinking again and was going to work.
So walk me through that. Forgive me, because okay, I can understand how we got into this point. Mom passes, traumatic, young. You fill this void with something else that is like a progressive talent that can make you feel very strong about yourself. And obviously it's like a physical endeavor. So when you're like dominating other people, you can be like, yeah, look at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels good. But then I guess that dilutes itself over the course of time. So then you find your way back to alcohol.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how. Yep.
Was the alcohol to dilute once again the feelings like, oh, I want to be careful how I ask this, man. I'm so sorry. Okay.
No, don't be sorry.
Were you battling with the death of your mom internally, even through martial arts? Were you running from it, and were you acknowledging that you were running from it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So this wasn't like a
For
subconscious
sure.
thing.
Yeah,
You were
you hit the nail on the head for sure.
And then when the new thing, jiu-jitsu, started feeling like the status quo, I'm sure you had a little bit more free time, and that free time kind of succumbed you with the feelings of the past, of grief and loss. And
then I moved in an apartment by myself.
okay.
about 0.2 away from a liquor store. Mistake. Big mistake. That amplified everything, because then I'm alone in my apartment. Have free will, clearly, because I'm a grown adult living in my own apartment.
If you're not busy, you're sitting there thinking.
Mm-hmm. And I do like small tasks and use it as an excuse to have like a drink, or I'd go like, I'm gonna go do laundry. I'm gonna have a drink while I'm doing laundry because I deserve it, which is so silly. But and then it just, like I said, it just starts to become insane, like so insane to the point where I was ending up not just in rehab, I was ending up in hospitals because I was having a seizure because I drank so much so fast and hit my head. And luckily I wasn't obviously I wasn't answering my phone. I couldn't even control my body. Kirk was worried about me, so he shows up and I'm passed out on the bathroom floor. I had just hit my head, go to the bathroom or go to the hospital that night. I don't know. There's so many different instances where similar things like that had happened. My family showed up to try to get me to go again, and they were all there. I jump out my own window to get away from my family. I'm just doing off the wall crazy shit because of this. And it's all because I just wanted to feel numb. I just didn't want to feel anything. I just didn't want to deal with anything at all.
This is wild to me to hear.
Yeah.
You seem like pretty normal now.
Thanks, that's good.
At least from what I could tell.
Yeah.
So obviously something either 2 or 3 years ago kind of broke you past that bubble.
Yeah, for sure.
You were talking about how you were in rehab and you were relapsing with another person with in NA, and you kind of started dabbling in even harder drugs.
Yeah.
Was meth, this is going to sound so stupid, was meth what opened your eyes, like, truly?
To what?
That if I continue to go down this path, I'll die?
Yes. So scary. Scariest situations I've ever put myself in my entire life. Scariest 4 months of my life. And I am so blessed. I am so thankful that I was able to see that I do have people that care about me, and that I do care about my life, and that I came to that realization, and I was strong enough to leave where I was living. And also very thankful that I had somewhere to go. Actually, most people in the jiu-jitsu community know the Hartmans. Do you know who that is?
I know of them, but
Cassidy Hartman.
Yeah, but I don't know them. Like, I don't have their phone numbers.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
of them.
Right. Like most people that do jiu-jitsu know of them, just from her being so active in
the community. Correct.
Yeah. They opened their homes to me.
Wow.
And their home, I shouldn't say homes, their home to me. They let me go there and get sober. It took me a while. I went back and forth for like 2 weeks. I would drive there, bring some of my stuff, and be like, I have more stuff to get. But really, I just wanted to use again. And then I'd go back. And then they'd be like, are you coming or not? This room is open for you, Dakota. You have a place to stay. You don't have to pay. There's food here. Just come. We just want you to be healthy. And
God bless.
Right. And I still, had to make the decision to actually go and do it. And I'm thankful that I did. And a lot of people don't have that option. A lot of people are stuck in their situation and they use, and it becomes like a generational thing. I don't know how many people that I used with, I'd go to their house and they'd be using with their mom or their dad or their aunt.
That is dark.
Yeah. Meth is the devil. And I'm not a very like, oh, the devil is everywhere. I don't think that that's like a driving force in my life. I don't say that about a lot of things. Meth is the devil. And once it's in you, it eats your soul. And you don't care. You have zero inhibitions about anything. I deleted everybody from the jiu-jitsu community off of my Facebook. I unfollowed people because I didn't want to see it.
You didn't want to see the life that you were kind of throwing away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't go to family functions that year because the 4 months that I used, it started in I want to say the end of September. Gosh, what is it? It's 2025. I want to say end of September 2023, maybe. That sounds right. Into January of 2020. Maybe it was 2022. I don't know. I need to look. I'm
not holding this against you.
Yeah,
so.
it's somewhere around that.
No one in the comments is going to be like, actually, Dakota, you were.
But so it was around the holidays. And I didn't go to any family functions. I didn't talk to any of my family really. Occasionally people would try to reach out, but I didn't want people to see me.
Know.
Yeah, I didn't want people to know. And everybody knew, like, that were in my family, that were close to me. I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people knew.
Or if they didn't know, they had an idea. If they didn't have an idea, then they were just oblivious.
Yeah, exactly. Or they weren't enough in my life beforehand to even care.
So obviously something happened to where you kind of, quote unquote, saw the light. But before I ask that question, I want to ask you another question. Because right now you're talking about that you're 2 years sober. And we talked about the precursors for even wanting to kind of dabble in these drugs were, at first it was the freedom and ignorance and youth, right? You're like, hey, I just want to have some fun, whatever, which I think everybody can, even if they didn't necessarily dabble when they were young, could at least understand the enticement of it.
Yeah.
Then your mother passes and it creates this void within you, which I think people that have lost loved ones could also resonate with. But then I'm trying to understand now, you're 2 years sober, there was some sort of breakthrough moment. Did you handle your demons? Did someone come through? Like, I want to be careful how I ask this, because you're 2 years sober, but what was it that got you to this point, and how do you know that will continue?
So I'm almost 2 years sober from meth, not from alcohol.
Okay.
I drank after.
Okay. Do you just limit yourself? Are you aware of it?
No, I got bad again after.
Again, with alcohol.
It took over for a little bit. Obviously not to the same degree, but it wasn't good.
Well, now I feel like an asshole for asking.
No.
Off the record, when she got in here, I was like, you want something to drink? You want a
No, it's
whiskey?
okay.
And you're like, actually, no, I don't. I was like, oh, now I feel like an
It's
asshole.
okay. You don't. And that's a thing I have accepted in my life is that's just gonna be life. People are gonna have drinks around me.
I meant it in good faith.
And people aren't gonna be doing things to see my demise. It just is what it is, and it doesn't bother me one bit.
Well, still, forgive me.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this epiphanous moment, or obviously it was 2 years sober from meth, but there was a moment with alcohol. Let me ask the question then in a better way. Oh man, forgive me. What is it about this that seems to just come back to you? Because you're not a dumb girl. You're very acutely aware of this issue.
Yeah.
What's going on?
A lot of it's my and this makes me feel weak when I say it, and I know it shouldn't, but it is my mental health. I think I get into these state of minds where I just don't care. And I used to not be, before my mom died, I was the happiest person. Like, I don't know, we briefly kind of knew each other just from my first fight, from doing MMA. And
we were around the same community. We had the same friends.
Yeah. I was outgoing, outspoken. I always was, I don't know, I just was always happy. And very social. My mom called me her social butterfly. And without her here, it's really hard for me to make sense of things. Even today, I still get into, right now, this month is going to be a tough month for me. And I hate to say, the whole month, but I'm going to have more tough moments this month and next month than I do throughout the rest of the year. Just because everything.
A reminder.
Yes, there was Halloween decorations up everywhere whenever in my house whenever I took her, just little things like that kind of spark your memory.
And it hits you at the most random times.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think I just have this weird thing where I can just say I don't give a fuck about anything right now, and I just want to feel nothing. And I don't want to do that. I recently just went to my psychiatrist. Thank goodness, because I'm medicated right now.
This is the first time you've ever seen like a specialist, like a therapist?
No,
Okay.
I was in and out of different therapists, and this psychiatrist I actually have seen previously. But then, I start to feel better and I get off my meds. But now this time I'm having someone that I'm very close to give me my meds so that I
When you say give them to you, you mean prescribe them or like watch you take them? Forgive me.
watch me take them.
Okay, okay.
Because I just even a few months ago, I was so high and low, and I was still able to continue to train and do all the positive things in my life. But there would be days where I wouldn't go to the gym, or I would hold myself up in the basement. I didn't get up. I'd sleep until 1 in the afternoon. And that's not me. I'm a very driven person deep down. And whenever I get into that depressive mode, it just takes it all out of me. I don't, like I said, I just don't care. And being medicated, I'm a completely different person. I get up at between 6:30 and 7 a.m. just naturally. That was not me even a few months ago. Like, I want to go to jiu-jitsu. I want to be there. I'll stay after, do extra rounds. And before, like I said, even a few months ago when I was still there consistently, I just wasn't completely mentally there, if that makes sense.
This is kind of weird for me to hear because I'm so like anti-pharmaceutical. I'm so anti like SSRIs and all these other things because I do think that they're overprescribed and
I agree.
over recommended and all these other stuff. But then I'm hearing this story. I'm thinking to myself like, okay, this is why they exist.
Yeah.
Because there are people that do need them, and there are people that they actually legitimately benefit. So like you are one of the stories where, hey, like these things are genuinely increasing the quality of my life.
And I think that's why I didn't take them for so long, because I felt the same way as you. And I also felt like it made me weak if I did it.
That
I
you
kind of
needed
grew
this
up.
thing.
Yeah, I kind of grew up. My parents used to say this exact phrase, and I think my dad has kind of changed his mind after losing my mom and kind of going through
Yeah.
his own mental battles. That depression isn't real. People are just weak minded, and
What do you think about that saying?
I think to an extent people use it as an excuse.
I agree.
But you have to, like, for me, for example, like, I have to be on something, or I'm not me. And that has progressed over time. And one thing I really respect and like about my psychiatrist specifically is less is more to him. He did right out the gate. He did not want to prescribe me a whole bunch of things. Like, he took his time and prescribed me very small doses of things and saw how it worked and listened to me, and but also gave me his advice, his educational advice,
His
and
legal
yeah, yeah,
advice. Not some shit
and
you're gonna get on Reddit.
yeah, and so that's one thing I'm very thankful for, that I found him specifically, because some doctors are just like, oh, here's this. Here's
Peace
this.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, you can take
Churn
this in
and
the morning,
burn.
this in the day, this at night.
This is what I meant by like the over prescription and overutilization of it. Because there
Yeah.
are those doctors, and I've heard those stories where people were like, well, I just got put on medicine. I didn't really attack the root of the issue.
Dude, in rehab, I was taking like 6 different things.
That sounds insane to me.
Yeah, there was no reason. There was no reason for it. Like,
Well, I would exhaust all other options until prescription medication then becomes the option. So, like, we tried 1, we tried 2, we tried 3. Hey, we only had 3 options. Now 4 options is medication.
Yeah.
But we tried 1, 2, and 3.
Exactly.
They didn't work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't start at 4, if that
Well,
makes sense.
And in the beginning, whenever you're, what's the word I'm looking for? Detoxing off of alcohol, a lot of times you do need medication.
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You can die. Like, I remember whenever I was detoxing, it was so bad at one point. Well, first off, I blew a .47 when I got there.
That's insane.
Isn't that insane?
Holy shit.
Insane. And that was to
You're
Ditmer.
also, what do you weigh? Like
40
a $1.20?
Yeah.
$1.10? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Um,
Whoo, girl, that is insane.
that was an hour after I did my intake. Isn't that insane? Maybe it was .43, but still, either way, like,
That's the problem with tolerance, is because like you might think that you're fine when in reality your blood alcohol level is through the roof.
insane. Like, that they're
0.08 is the threshold for a driving while intoxicated, a DWI. She was 0.4, so more than 4 times the legal limit.
Yeah. And they had me sign paperwork and all this legal stuff, which is insane to me. But I mean, I had already agreed to go, so, and I'm happy that I went and that I did it, but I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought there. I had to have prescription medication whenever I went those times. My shakes were so bad, like a few days after I'd been there, that it looked like I was literally waving at the nurses. Like when I put my hand out, I was like, it's so scary. But after that, it's like, once I'm not in that detox mode, I feel like there should be a different protocol. Like they literally have like a protocol that all patients automatically go on these medications, nighttime medication, everything. Like, and it's a little frustrating because I see a lot of people that kind of be the demise of their recovery, is all of these different medications and not being able to get it straight, or going on and off of them whenever they didn't really need all of it to begin with, you know? In my opinion, obviously. I'm not a doctor, so.
You said something earlier about like the kind of motto that your dad kind of followed or prescribed to before the passing of your mom and his wife, which was depression's not real and you're just weak-minded. I have a theory. You can tell me to eat shit if you want. I actually don't believe that depression is real, but I don't think it has anything to do with like the strength of your mind. Because I'm 32 years old and my mom died when I was 19 and it still randomly hits me.
Yeah.
I was in the car yesterday driving home and just something, I forget what it was that spurred a thought. Then I started thinking about my childhood, inevitably led to like my mom, and I'm crying in my car while I'm going home. I'm alone in my car having a nice healthy adult cry, but I don't feel, it's not a depression. It's, okay, I want to be careful how I say this. It's not as if I'm not sympathetic to people with extreme sadness, but I think sometimes we label things to try to mask the underlying issue. I'm not depressed. I am sad at that moment because of this thing, but I'm not depressed. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to have a nice, healthy adult solo cry on my commute back home whenever it is that I'm dealing with it. And by the time I got home, got it out of my system, I was good to go. I don't think it has anything to do with being weak-minded or strong-minded. I think it has just to be with like honest, like truly honest with yourself. Yeah. And there are moments where I am weak and there are moments where I am like a boulder strong. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it is okay to have both. Like I don't need to be a constant boulder.
No, you can't
and I don't
live
need
like
to be
that.
a constant, wimp. Like it's okay to be weak and strong at different times. My thing is always just, we were having a discussion earlier about like there's no one size that fits all. And that there's no different strokes for different folks. So like my whole thing is like,
say that all the time.
Yeah, same. Yeah. So my whole thing is like, how do you feel today, Ariane? I don't know. We'll see. You know what I mean? Like, let's see what presents itself, and I'll just kind of react accordingly. I try not to I try not to give advice on any of these things, because all I do more than anything is just tell them what I go through.
Right.
And then sometimes people
lived
will be
experience.
like, and sometimes people are like, oh, I resonate with that, or that sounds weird to me. Like, I don't think that, for me, what works more than anything, I've had friends that have told me that I also have not gotten over everything. But my life is great, if I'm going to be honest with you, Dakota. Yeah. My life is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say for the sake of argument, I haven't gotten over everything. It's leading to a pretty good, like, succession in my life.
Yeah.
If it was leading to self-sabotage and, like, a spiral where I was getting to the point where people had to start worrying about me, then okay. But until that point, I'm not necessarily too concerned about it. You had something where it wasn't necessarily that case. It was more of the negative aspects of it, where it was self-sabotage. It was kind of leading to your own demise. And then you were becoming, thank God for the people around you that recognized it and acted. Thank God for yourself for utilizing these people around you to, I don't want to sound like, but like you saved yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's commendable. I think
Thank you.
It's amazing, actually. Yeah. So God bless
Maybe
the people around you. God bless you. Yeah. Now, here's my last question before we hop off this topic, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Because I don't want it to be a therapy session. Or my last question to you is, if we are aware of where this stems from, and we're aware at what we're susceptible to,
Mm-hmm.
how can we ensure that we don't get to that point again? Or is the goal to never get to that point again? Or are you contemplating in your life like there will be a time in the future where I do succumb back to alcohol and I am going to have to be strong enough to get out of that? Kind of what we were talking about Alcoholics Anonymous, where you're like, start the meeting, you're like, hi, I'm Dakota, I'm an alcoholic. It's
Yeah.
like, well, hold up now, you know? So like my question for you is, when you're at this point in your life, is your mentality, I'm never going to use again? Is your mentality like, there will be a time where this does rear its ugly head and I'm going to have to be strong enough to kind of overcome it again, and then again, and then again?
Well, even, I mean, I'll just be point blank super honest with myself and everybody listening and you. About a month and a half ago, I drank in my basement for a whole weekend. Like, but I didn't let it overtake my life. I looked at myself. I literally looked at myself in the mirror. It's like, this is fucking stupid. You got yourself out of this hole a long time ago, and you don't want to be this person. This temporarily feels good, and let's get back to it. Let's go. Let's go to the gym. Let's get out of it. And I did.
Fuck yeah.
I just got out of it. Like, it sucks because before that I had like 7 months clean, like completely, like no alcohol, nothing. A gummy here and there. I like marijuana, but to help me sleep and stuff. But no alcohol for 7 months straight. And like those milestones feel good, and it feels like,
Well, it's prideful.
yeah,
It's like,
it
ooh,
is.
I can say this thing.
It is, and it's very egotistical.
Look at me, I'm better.
Right.
7 months.
Yes, and you know, I feel like those little hiccups, I do think that they're going to happen every once in a while. Do they have to? No. They might, and I think it all is going to depend on my mindset and what I'm going to do about it after it happens, if it happens.
That's how I tackle it.
Yeah.
Different stories, but I resonate with your story.
Thanks.
During all of this, you're having this martial arts career as well,
Yeah.
which now having the full context of, not the full context, but some context of some of the things that you were battling and going through kind of amplifies the craziness of your life. Because like we were talking about your pro debut for MMA, you fought for Bellator on the main card against Gilbert Melendez's wife. And forgive me, Gilbert Melendez's wife, I don't know her first name. What's her first name? Carrie, thank you.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I was unprepared for this interview. And you had a performance that some would say, including this guy, that I thought you won that fight.
Thanks.
Which was wild.
Thanks.
Considering it was your pro debut against
Yeah.
the kind of caliber of fighter that you were going against.
Yeah.
And you went out there and fucking performed. By the way, you might not say this. I don't know if you would say this. They were bringing you in there to lose.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. You were blue corner. You were B team. It was Gilbert Melendez. It was his wife. It was his team. It was all these other things. And they were bringing her in to start her career. And then in comes Dakota.
That's why you can't find it on the internet.
Did they take it down?
It's nowhere to be found.
Wow.
I have it in 3 different videos because my friend Joe Mueller recorded it. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's nowhere to be found. No clips of it whatsoever. I've thought about posting it, but
Well, it's not her fault.
yeah.
Hey, let's talk about that though. So it was your pro debut. How did they get a hold of you? How did that fight even form? Like, how did we even get to the point where we were fighting?
So I just won White Belt Worlds. And I was like super hot on the scene of jiu-jitsu, and Kirk worked for Bellator actually. He had only done a few shows, but Mike Garrett was consistently working for the shows, and he trains at St. Charles MMA. And just, you know, sometimes it pays to know
a
people.
guy.
Yeah. And the opportunity came through to the gym, to St. Charles MMA specifically. Nobody wanted it, so they asked Kirk if I wanted it, and I said,
You were like, fuck yeah.
I said, fuck yeah, I want it.
Obviously, the performance you had, so you lost a very close decision. And
Split.
yeah, sorry, that's what I meant by very
Yeah.
close decision. Like, I guess a unanimous decision isn't a closest. Forgive me, a very close split decision. But I remember the way I felt after I watched that fight, and we were with a group of people. before the scorecards were read out, we were all like, Dakota got this. It's in the bag. There's no way, right? And I remember a buddy of mine even said, like, even if they rob her, because obviously, like, she's the B-side, this performance stands the test of time. So you lost a split decision, but I believe you definitely got your roses, even though, you know what I mean? Where did that lead your MMA career afterwards? Like, were you ever thinking about MMA as a career beforehand? Because I know that you were in jiu-jitsu and you were around, you had a couple fights and you were competing regularly, but I'm trying to understand. So for
like
context,
why I didn't take off with it.
for context, when I got into MMA, I wanted to fight. I wanted to fight pro. I knew this is what I was wanting to do, right? I didn't want to do jiu-jitsu. I didn't want to do boxing. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to do mixed martial arts. I wanted to cage fight. Was that similar to your story, or was it kind of shaping before your eyes?
In the very beginning, that's what I wanted to do. I started at the War Room, because that's the gym where I am from. It's in that area, and that's why I went there, because that's what I wanted to do. And then kind of seeing that there was levels to jiu-jitsu and the different levels of competition it ignited like a passion for it inside of me. And I still wanted to do MMA, but I really loved this thing. I loved jiu-jitsu, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted after that. After I had gotten a taste of like competing at a high level, and not just at the local level for jiu-jitsu specifically, and winning worlds. And like I said, after I got that little bit of taste, it made me realize like, this is what I want to do. This is what I love. Which is crazy, because you'd think like after, that performance on Bellator and being under the big lights. I mean, I got interviewed by Big John and Chael Sonnen, which was really cool. Awesome experience.
And they also gave you your roses.
They're so awesome. They're great, great men. You'd think like somebody gets a taste of that and they're like, oh, this is what I want. And it just didn't do it for me. Like, I loved it and it was fun, but...
Do you think you were a little jaded because of the decision loss? Like, what if you would have won?
Maybe. I think that
because you were kind of like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. And my last amateur fight, I fought... I got brought in last minute to Kansas City to fight I don't remember his name.
Her name.
Her husband. I can't remember.
Oh, sorry.
So I fought I always lose to people's wife. Always. I'm always fighting somebody's wife and lose by split decision. So it had just happened to me in my last MMA fight as an amateur. So I was just like, screw this. Like, I'm over it. And I'm always brought in as the underdog. I'm always brought in to be the person, the stepping stone for somebody else. So I think it did put a bad taste in my mouth, and I was just over it at that point. I fought one more time after that, and unfortunately, my opponent pulled out like a week before, and then I swear they pulled somebody from the back alley that night and paid her $500 to fight me. So sorry to her.
Hey, she accepted.
Yeah.
She signed on the dotted line. So jiu-jitsu is clearly the thing that now has kind of like overtaken in terms of your passion when it comes to competition.
Yeah.
But what are your goals with jiu-jitsu? Obviously, black belt. Obviously, there are some things that don't necessarily need to be said, but I'm talking about more specifically like what would you consider a successful competitive jiu-jitsu career?
I definitely want to win a world title at brown and black. I've always said I wanted to win a world title at every belt. That did not happen. So at blue, I won American Nationals, gi pans, no gi pans, the open weight at no gi pans before he gave me my purple, and it was around COVID. They didn't have worlds that year.
Kirk, you sandbagger.
Well, if you look at the timeline...
No, I'm fucking bullshit. I'm bullshit.
If you look at the timeline, I was a blue belt for exactly the time that the IBJJF requires for you to be a registered blue belt.
Oh, really?
Yep, on the dot.
I didn't even know all that.
Yep.
I say that just because that's like the most common criticism I get from any of these jiu-jitsu guys is
everybody's
he's sandbagging, he's this, he's that. Yeah. I'm just like... Okay.
Yeah. Well, in wrestling, you don't wear a belt, so.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't the goal black belt anyway? So like, given enough time, you're gonna have to wrestle, or so not wrestle. Sorry, you're gonna have to grapple with them anyway.
Yeah.
So whether it's at blue belt now or brown belt later, like they're all growing too. You're
Yeah.
gonna see the same people
And
over and over again.
Same with, I mean, you could be a brand new black belt and go against somebody that's been a black belt for
5, 6, 7 years.
yeah.
There's
yeah.
different levels of that shit though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even now I'm running into these damn kids starting younger and younger.
Oh, tell me about it. That's why I retired.
Dude.
Fuck that shit.
I had a really hard match with this girl. Princess is her name. That's her actual name, Princess Wong. Super nice girl. She is. She lives up in Canada and she competes all over. And we sit down.
Stud.
She's stud. I've had 3 matches with her. I've won 2 very close matches, and she has won one of the matches, and actually our most recent. So I deem her the winner of us right now because she has the recent win. But I talked to her. We were waiting for our medals or whatever, and we just get to talking. And I asked her how old she is. She's like, "Oh, I'm 19." I was like, "What?" I was like, "When did you start doing jiu-jitsu?" She's like, "Oh, when I was like, I think 7 or 8.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that." I was like,
So
"You've
she's been doing jiu-jitsu just as long as you.
Yeah,
Yep.
and her brain was a sponge when she started. I had done a lot of drugs, probably holes in my brain when I started. So,
Give her time. She'll party.
yeah. Fingers crossed. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. She's got a bright future, but I'm at that point right now, and I'm just on the cusp of masters, and I want to compete at adult for well into my 30s even. Now I'm excited to have that option. So now I have another option. If there's no girls at adult brown belt, whatever weight division that I'm at, then I can check to see if there's a girl at Masters 1 or whatever. So that's what I'm mainly excited for of being 30, is to have more options at tournaments and stuff, because it's pretty skeet for brown belt girls right now.
Can I ask you a question regarding the females? So when I had Josh McKinney on, and when I've had, honestly, like any high level black belt on, we've talked either on the record or off the record, and steroids seem to be like ubiquitous with the sport of jiu-jitsu in a way that is kind of frowned upon in MMA, most likely because of the head trauma, where it isn't necessarily, I want to be careful how I say this, because I think it actually is frowned upon within the community, but in the greater context, it's not, right? Yeah. It's like, I know that the guys that are not on it feel like they need to be on it in order to compete at a certain level, and that's not fun. But then the guys that are on it are like, hey, it's not illegal in our sport, so suck my dick, right?
Right.
So my question for you is that same with female jiu-jitsu? Like, is steroid use common with the women as well?
I think at the higher level and the more the older girls, I think it is becoming more common.
Have you ever felt like you I keep saying wrestled because we're in wrestling season, forgive me. Have you ever felt like you rolled with anyone that was under?
Absolutely, especially ADCC, like the ADCC Opens, and I don't think there's my opinion on performance enhancing drugs is that if you don't abuse it, then it's fair game.
What is,
especially if it's not a rule in the rule, if it's not in the contract whenever you sign up for the tournament that you can or cannot. So like IBJJF, they can drug test you. Yeah. ADCC, I don't actually know, so forgive me if I'm wrong on this. I don't think that they do. They don't really drug test.
Is that the definition of abuse for you, whether or not it's against the rules? Like when you say if you don't abuse the drugs, I'm curious what your definition of abuse is.
I think the definition for me would be like super high amounts all the time, never hitting an off cycle. I think using it to the point where you're just like
roiding out.
Yeah, and I think that it has its positive qualities, that it can help the sport and help it grow and help people. Because performance enhancing drugs is a huge umbrella. You can take a performance enhancing drug that helps your joints. Yeah. You can take one that helps your focus. You know what I mean? It's not.
You could be an older guy and get on TRT. You're not even trying to get a performance enhancement. You're just trying to perform.
Okay, you're trying to train every day.
It's a tough umbrella, man.
It is.
I agree with you.
And I think that until there's more knowledge.
But here's my response to that.
Yeah.
I don't think that when people are complaining, the complaints that I've received from individuals have never been like, oh, this guy's on, hormone replacement therapy, or this guy's like, doing a cortisone shot on his joints because he's old. It's usually like this guy is on the sauce, implying
Right.
he's on cycle, peaking right there for a competition.
True.
And I want to be careful how I say this because technically it's not cheating.
Yeah.
But within the parameters of like competition, in my opinion, there's like a gentleman's agreement, right? Now, here's the problem with the gentleman's agreement is when you feel like, why do we cut weight in MMA? Because everybody else cuts weight.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I cut weight is because the guys
it
that are fighting at
sucks.
135 are actually weighing 170. And
Yeah.
that's my weight, like 170, 180,
Yeah.
right? I fought at 135. Why don't I fight at 170, 180? Because the guys from
That'd
240
be
are
huge.
cutting down to 170.
Yeah.
So it's like in the same context of like talking about PEDs and stuff like that is like, well, okay, I thought we could all have a gentleman's agreement about just like showing up like whatever we walked around at, but at some point in time, someone wanted a competitive advantage. So now the status quo has been set.
Yeah.
Everybody cuts weight now.
Yeah.
I
Even
feel
in
like,
jiu-jitsu.
I feel like that's happening. Yeah, jiu-jitsu for sure. But then in our sport, sorry, when I say our sport, forgive me. In mixed martial arts,
Yeah.
you can't take PEDs, at least the highest level. You can before then, but good luck with
Yeah.
that. But then in jiu-jitsu, it's like, it's also a gentleman's agreement of like, hey, you can take it too.
Yeah.
And I won't get mad if you do.
Yeah.
So it's this weird. Let me ask you a question that I'm not trying to seem moral, but my genuine curiosity is, do you think that you want a sport where either everybody's on it or everybody's off it? Like if you could wave a magic wand and either everybody's on the sauce and performing like gods, or no one's on the sauce and flabby and
On it.
age
On
takes
it, for
over.
sure.
Yeah. On it.
Yeah. I mean, you
Because-
see everybody at their highest potential.
Mm.
That's my opinion on it. I mean, and just like performance wise, and what's the word I'm looking for? Entertainment wise too.
Makes
I
for a
mean,
better product.
Yeah. I mean,
Get more flying arm
I might
bars.
get flack for that too, but
It's the truth.
yeah,
It's the truth.
it'd be more entertaining. I mean, I even just said this literally yesterday. I was watching my division go in Nogi Pans, and I was like watching it, and I'm like, man, jiu-jitsu is fucking boring. Like I love doing it. It's fun while I'm doing it, but watching it's not a spectator sport. It can be.
I think at the highest level, but I think anything at the highest level
I mean,
can be a spectator
I was
sport.
watching adult brown belt female goes.
That's not the
go.
highest level though.
But at IBJJF, International Brazilian Jiu Jistu Federation tournament, is pretty close to being
Fair,
the highest
fair.
level. You're
That is a
right
fair
underneath
assessment.
that black belt level.
That's a fair assessment.
And especially for females. Think about, the pool that we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
here. There's not as many females in it. So,
Do you think that's changing?
yeah, absolutely.
I would
Oh, I
agree.
have so many little girls in my kids' class. It's insane. It's absolutely
God
insane.
bless.
I love it. And I
I can't wait till my daughter's old enough. Personally,
gosh, I love it.
I want to get into wrestling, jiu-jitsu.
And I tell all my students, go wrestle. I don't care if you miss jiu-jitsu for a few months out of the year. Go wrestle. Take advantage of it while you're young. Take advantage of doing it. Go wrestle.
I tell my wrestlers, be multi-sport athletes. Go do other things as well. They help. That you could
They
be
do.
playing football, and there are aspects of football that could help wrestling. You could be doing baseball after wrestling. There's aspects of baseball that help wrestling. Like I was a multi-sport athlete in high school.
Me too.
My sport was wrestling, but I did other sports, and those other sports helped my wrestling.
Yeah.
And also, it eliminated any sort of burnout. I was always looking forward to wrestling season.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, that was cool. I did the thing. Now it's time for the sport that I actually want to do. You know
So
what I mean?
you didn't wrestle off season at all?
No,
Really?
no. You when you were talking about earlier when you were poor, I was poor.
Yeah.
So I didn't start wrestling until freshman year of high school.
Okay.
And I didn't have any money.
Didn't have
So
the-
like I
the
couldn't do
resources
I
to
couldn't
go.
do Perler, and our school didn't have like, so one of the things that I do as a coach now is I offer off season, so summer for free, spring and summer for free.
That's awesome.
I go in there and I do that 2 times a week because my goal at this point in my life, Dakota, in everything that I'm doing is to do the things that I wish I would have had when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, I was broke, and I wanted to go to Perler.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to these
love
places.
them.
I just didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're a business.
Yeah.
They got to do it for money.
And they have a great product.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's not like I'm knocking it or anything.
Yeah.
It was more of like, when I look at it, when I was like objective, like I wish I would have had the money to go do these things. Maybe I would have been
Yeah.
better. You know what I mean? So when I look at it now, I'm 32, and as a coach and all these other things, or as a businessman, I'm exclusively doing the things so that the youth have the things that I wish I would have had.
Yeah,
So we have
that's awesome.
preseason, we have off season, and it's all optional. You guys can do it. I'll be here 2 days a week. Actually, preseason was we're getting such a good turnout, and so many kids were excited about season that we went from 2 days a week now to 3 days a week. And I do it for free. I do it just because I like doing it, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
And it's not selfless. Because some people are like, oh, what a great guy. No, I like doing it. I'm a selfish guy. If I didn't like doing it, I wouldn't do it.
And at the end of the day, it makes your wrestlers better during season. And you want as much as you want to see them have success, you want to be their coach of success.
I like winning.
Yeah,
I like winning. I've always liked winning.
Yeah.
So when my kids go out there and they lose, it's not as if I'm like upset with them for losing. It's more like I'm upset with myself.
Yeah, you feel like, what else could I have done?
Is there something I could have
coach?
taught them? Is there something I could have gone over?
Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't show them that. That's on me. Like these are the mindsets that I have. You know what I mean?
I hate that feeling whenever a kid gets.
You feel like you let them down.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I haven't gone over that in class.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get that a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. One of the things that we were talking about with our coaches this year was when I came in 4 years ago, our program, and I have no problem saying this because it's the objective truth, was dog shit.
Yeah.
Utter dog shit.
You gotta be honest.
And I like to think that if you were to ask any of the students, any of the teachers, any of the, we've changed that program, total 180. And I will give myself the roses. I do know that I'm a big part of that. However, the bigger part of that pie chart is the kids. Because at any moment, the kids could have been like, fuck this, he's too hard, he's too this. No, the kids stepped up as well, and they created the program. So in a lot of ways, the reason I started is not the reason why I'm still doing it. Mm-hmm. But 100%, I'm competitive in everything that I do. I don't want my kids to win for me. That's not what I want them. I want them to win because I want them to get from wrestling the same things I got from wrestling. The confidence, the respect, the discipline, all these other things where it's so easy to get engrossed in a sport when you're having success. And there's a lot of guys that could have been good, but perhaps they were in a program that wasn't that good. So then they were getting their butt whooped and losing and all this other stuff. So then they're like, well, this isn't the sport for me. When in reality, I believe this about grappling martial arts in a way that I don't believe about striking martial arts. I do think that anybody can grapple in a way that not anybody can strike.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, now, I'm not saying that you could all be,
top level, winning
world's
everything.
champion or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying.
But you can get better.
Yes. And you could do it longer. You can do it longer.
Absolutely.
And whether that's with you starting with jiu-jitsu or starting with wrestling or starting with like any variation of each, I'll be a wrestler till the day I die. I'll be a grappler till the day I die. I don't think that there'll ever be a moment where I don't do that anymore, either as a coach or competitively. Probably I'm done with, to be completely honest with you.
You think so?
I just don't care.
Yeah. That's how I feel about MMA.
I just don't care.
I just don't care.
And I'll be honest with you. The way I feel about coaching is so much stronger than the way I felt about the end of my competitive. By the end of my competition, I felt like I was doing it because I had done it.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to fight anymore.
Because it's what you knew.
I was making more money, and fighting was kind of costing me opportunities. And I'm like, oh, dude, I could have been doing this,
You
that,
gotta
or the other.
sacrifice a lot.
Yes.
Even when you're not at that highest level,
It's more of a sacrifice because you're getting less of a payout.
Absolutely.
If I was a UFC champion, believe me, I'd suck it up and I'd do it.
And even then, like the payroll's not that. I mean, unless you're like,
If you're in the millions,
that's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're a new guy on the card, you're not making that much money.
not even new guy. I know guys that have had like 10 fights in the UFC and are still struggling.
Yeah.
Granted, it's a tough sport. It's a tough business. All of it is tough. I guess what I'm trying to say is, for me personally, my competitive window is like, there are times I'll go to a fight and I'll see some guys, and especially if they're like 135, 145, I'm like, oh, I'd fucking smash you boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You kind of get that itch.
Yeah, but then I'm not willing to go into the gym and cut the weight. I'm not willing to do what I need to do to get to that point. So like, I'm good. I don't even fucking,
It was hard for me to get back to that mindset of even just competing in jiu-jitsu again, even after I'd been back at the gym for a while. Like, I feel like I just recently, in the last few months, have regained that focus again, and that switch has kind of turned for me. And I do want to go out and compete at the highest level. I do see myself winning at higher levels again and doing the big tournaments again. And I wish I could say, oh yeah, I got back to it, and that was my goal from day one whenever I was back in the gym. But it wasn't. It was just to survive in the very beginning and to get back to doing it and moving my body, and then I started to fall back in love with it again.
Well, I think that's the better way to be, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because like, let me ask you a question. If you weren't competing, would you still do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
See, I'm not competing and I don't do martial arts.
Yeah.
I coach now.
Yeah.
Like I don't go striking. I don't go outside of the wrestling I do with the kids. I'm not doing jiu-jitsu. I'm not doing any of these things.
Yeah.
You want to know why? I never fell in love with martial arts. I fell in love with competition. And then when competition was gone, I was like, okay, cool, peace.
Yeah.
And like, I have some people ask me, they're like, you know, you can still come to the gym and all that stuff. And my response, I'm not trying to be rude, is like, for what?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I mean, isn't it fun? I go, no.
Yeah.
No,
the end goal
it's
is
not.
just different for you.
I'm sorry,
now.
it's not fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was always a means to an end. What was fun was winning a fight.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I mean? That was everything else up until that point was for that moment.
Yeah. And to a certain degree, I definitely, like you said, every sport has an off season, and I need to remind myself that with jujitsu because
You
like
have to, man, or you're gonna burn out.
yeah. I mean, even
your body just breaking down. Even if you don't want to take a break, you need that break.
Yeah, yeah. And I think getting ready for a tournament and training really hard is really important because you want to win, obviously. Like
training for fun versus training for competition are two different kinds of training.
and if you want to compete at the high level, you have to be able to do both. And you have to take into consideration both because there are times where I'm in the gym and I'm like, and
I could be anywhere else.
Yeah, I just want to go home. And but then there are times where I am so happy to be there. Even at, like I competed this last weekend at the St. Louis IBJJF Open, and I was in the gym the next day because I wanted to be, not because I had to be, not because I was forced, not anything. I went to a seminar. I didn't roll. I didn't go hard. I learned some stuff from I cannot think of his last name, but his first name's Ishmael. He very knowledgeable guy from Little Rock. He moved here from Brazil, and we had a teammate that trains with him now down there, and he moved and is going to college there. But because I wanted to, because I do truly appreciate the art of jiu-jitsu and learning, but I didn't go in there and like previous Dakota, before pre-rehab Dakota, would have been in there the next day thinking that I needed to work. I needed to go in there. I needed to drill. I needed to be there for 2 hours. I needed to do this. I needed to do that. I needed to go lift. And now
that sounds like work.
Yeah. And now consistency is what's really made all the difference. Consistency, keeping things light and fun, and still being able to teach. So like I mentioned to Kirk a little bit ago, I haven't taught in a while. I really like to teach. I've only taught the kids. I do like to teach the adult.
Do you want to get back into that?
So, and his response was, okay, what do you want to teach tomorrow? And that's why I appreciate him so, so much. It wasn't like, well, you need to focus right now. I'm teaching. You need to focus. It was immediately, well,
Okay.
what did you see at the tournament that people did that you want to teach to make better? And so I taught the next day, and he let me run a class. So, and I feel like he definitely sees that a big demise of mine before was that I just worked, and I didn't take the time to have fun with things. And so he is making sure that as his student and one of his coaches, that I am enjoying all aspects of it now.
What is your relationship like with Kirk Huff? Is it like student? Is he your mentor? Is he your friend? Is he like a horizontal, like a fellow competitor in the gym? Like what is, when you look at Kirk, like what is his role to you?
All of the above except for horizontal. I mean, I feel like we're equal a lot of times, like when we're at tournaments and stuff, because I do help coach him, especially if it's just us. And he treats me as his equal. He doesn't like, unless I need to become down on her or something.
Thinking of 16 sexist jokes right now.
Me too. Okay. Anyways, but like I said, he treats me as his equal, and for the most part, and unless I need to be told like, hey, you're fucking up here. What are you doing? Or if I get a little, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I get a little bit of an attitude if he wants me to do something extra. I'm like, and he just has to give me this look. And I'm like, you're right, coach. I'll go do it. So, and that's progressed over time. He's definitely probably my best friend too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think you said something earlier about how after competition, you wanted to go into the gym the next day. And I actually need to put a slight caveat to what I said earlier about like not falling in love with martial arts. I think I did. It's just the martial art that I fell in love with was wrestling, even though it wasn't, I thought it would be MMA or all these other things. But then when I sat back and thought about it, if it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't have gotten into any of this, right? So when the opportunity came to coach, it wasn't, now that I'm thinking about it objectively, you kind of opened my eyes. It wasn't as if I dislike MMA or anything like that. It's that I like wrestling more. I like coaching more.
Yeah.
And so maybe now that I'm thinking about it a little bit better, the reason why that competitive nature in myself is just dead is because I have this like new fire about like a competitive nature in the next generation.
And being
I want to be the coach. I want to be the coach for them that I had amazing coaches actually. Every single coach I've ever had in my life, from Shu to Ford to Jay D'Amato to Mike Rogers to Mop, I've never had a single bad coach. That is my blessing. I've had only good coaches.
Yeah.
So it's time to give back. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Now I got to be a good coach for someone. And even if it's not like, I'm not going to be their coach forever, they're going to have coaches after me. But I want them to be able to say the same thing I just said.
Yeah. You want to
I had a good coach, Ariane, and then Mike, and then whatever.
Yeah.
That's hopefully.
Yeah.
You are talking about at the gym possibly teaching more. Mm-hmm. And Kirk's reaction to that was like very receptive. Is that the next step for you? So like competing, jiu-jitsu, coach?
Yeah, I think earlier you kind of asked me what my goals were, and we kind of got off on a tangent of like competing at a high level. But I would also say another goal of mine in jiu-jitsu is to eventually have my own school. But I want to have, and this kind of sounds a little, I don't know.
Say it.
I want to have accolades next to my name when I open up my gym. I want to be able to,
not just black belt.
Yeah, I want to be a successful black belt. I want to be a successful colored belt at all the different belts that I have been at. And I guess a little bit of it's egotistical because it feels good, right?
No, I think it's good for business.
Yeah, but that's the number one thing. Like, people see on paper like, oh, this girl's done this, and this. Like, let's go learn from her, and not only in that sense, but I actually do get a lot of knowledge from competing a lot and from winning certain titles and stuff like that. So, and with that too, that doesn't always necessarily mean that somebody's a good coach. So, I'm blessed that Kirk has taught me not just how to be a good competitor, but he's taken time to sit down and have conversations with me about certain ways that he coaches, the ways that he structures classes, the way that he coaches in real time during matches, certain verbiage he uses as he's coaching he's coaching his students. I'm very blessed to have somebody that cares that much. And with that being said too, Kirk puts in what other people put into his gym. If you're there and you're committed and you help the team, he's gonna go all in with you. And I think some people have gotten a little, I don't want to use the word jealous, but kind of, I don't know. Some girls have kind of gotten their panties in the water of like, well, you do this for Dakota, or you go out of your way to have classes for Dakota.
You're not Dakota.
I also do things for him to put time into the gym. I am his head kids instructor. I go out of my way to lift and take care of my body and to represent his gym.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Anyone who ever looks at an interpersonal relationship and expects that to be universal is a child. they're looking at that in a childish manner. Clearly, your relationship is be careful how I say this. It's an accumulation of your lived experience together.
Mm-hmm.
It can be strictly corporate, like let's say you guys worked at a company together and your roles are completely different, but you need one another.
Yeah.
So you develop this reliance and respect for one another because, oh, she's good at her job and he's good at his job. It could be competitive, where a coach and a student, and the coach really respects the student because the student is putting in 100%, and then the coach puts in 100%. So the student's like, oh my God, I got to give back to the coach what he's giving to me or she's giving to me.
Yeah.
It could be platonic or friendship or relationship or whatever, but there's no aspect in your life where you treat people universally the same. So why would you expect for universal treatment in any aspect? So when people come and say things like that, I hear it all the time in my gym, like, oh, you like so-and-so better. You want to know what I say to them? I do.
Yeah.
Yes. He's your favorite. Yes,
Yeah.
he is. Why do you think he's my favorite? Is he here every day? Is he putting in effort? Is he doing all these other things? Why wouldn't he be my favorite?
Yeah.
I don't shy from it. I don't do this like, oh no, I love all you equally. No, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
I don't love all you equally.
No.
I like a lot of you a lot. And some of you I like a little bit. Some of you I don't like at all.
Yeah.
I hope you guys know that.
Yeah.
And by the way, they do know that.
Yeah.
They already know that.
Yeah. And
But it's a reflection of what they do.
exactly.
Not a reflection of me. I will treat all of you the same if you all act the same.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick and choose. If everyone's a 5, everyone's going to get treated like a 5.
Yeah.
But not everyone's a 5.
And anybody that has trained at Arnold.
If anyone's a human, they understand this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And anybody that's trained at Arnold that has put in the extra time, any extra time at all, whether it just be for maybe one tournament or maybe it was for a consistent amount of time for a few tournaments or whatever it may be, knows that Kirk will go above and beyond for any of his students that are willing to go above and beyond for themselves and will put in the time for them. You got to help yourself first before he's going to help you.
Earlier in this conversation, we were talking about like the nature of cross training with jiu-jitsu, and we said like, hey, at the end of the day, you're paying to go there.
Yeah.
And you're right. That is a strength of the student. Like, hey, I'm paying for this. But subsequently, that's also their weakness. It's like, yeah, you're paying. Let's say your gym fee is $150 a month. I actually don't know what the gym fees are, the average one. But let's say you pay $150 a month. Okay. So for $150 a month, what do you get? You get all the classes and you get the attention from the coach that everybody else paying $150 a month is going to get. No more, no less. If you see that other people are doing more and then receiving more, what does that tell you? It's universal.
Yeah.
You could also do more and receive more. Because at the end of the day, he's just, you paid $150. He's going to give you $150 worth and go from there.
So
do you want extra from the coach now? Why? Are you paying him extra? Are you doing extra? If you wanting to receive extra, how much extra are you putting in? And by the way, I hate to say it that way, but like it's a business. So like you could not necessarily be like the most overachiever, but if you're paying $200 a month or $250, the reason I say that is because like there's like this growing discontent in not just the jiu-jitsu community, but like martial arts in general about these like wealthy people coming in and getting to train with, you know, Israel Adesanya and all these other guys. And it's like, yeah, well, you know what? You better believe he's not paying the $200 a month gym fee. He's coming in, dropping a billy, and he's saying, I want to train with the best.
Yeah. I mean, money talks.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's just the world we live in.
Either work harder or pay more or
something. You
be
have to
cool,
be giving something.
or just be cool.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
You have to be giving something else besides just what the bare minimum is required of you as a student if you want to be there.
Have you ever owned a business before?
No.
Does the idea of starting your own gym scare you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should.
Definitely. And you know, I say that's the end goal, but who knows what I decide to do. I actually don't want to live in this area for my entire life. I want to go back. I want to be down in Florida. I was born in Jacksonville and I visited frequently as a kid and have family down there. I do, but I don't speak to them. I just want to be down there.
You don't want to?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just
Do
stuff from my grandpa dying.
you think that could ever be remedied, or is that something you're going to hold forever?
That's a tough one. There's a lot of anger because this person and my mother did not speak for 10 years. They ended up talking, and the day before my mom died, my mom was crying in her room to me about this person. And it's really hard for me to forget that. And maybe one day I would like to say that could be a big enough person to where I could forgive certain things. But I don't know if it's worth it, because this person to me is a very selfish person. I also said some very mean things to this person that I do regret. So maybe at some point when I think the time is right or whatever, I might reach out and just apologize for what I've done and what I've said. However, furthering the relationship after that, don't even know if they would want to. Don't know if I would want to, and I think just to maybe make things, I wouldn't even say right, but to apologize for the things that I said, because I said some terrible things. I was drunk and I said some really mean
young
things.
and dumb.
Actually, I'm just going to say it because it's pretty.
You're not censored.
It's pretty surprising, but I told them I wish they died a more painful death than my mom.
Oof, okay, that is dark.
So pretty dark. I got pretty dark there. And I do regret saying it because it's terrible. And they're closely related to my mother. And I know that hurt them very bad. So one day I would like to maybe say sorry. But even if I lived in Florida, I don't think I would want to have a close relationship with them.
I would not presume to understand the interpersonal relationships that you have with your family members, but I will say this. My mom also had a lot of people that slighted her, like family members. And over the course of time, I've seen, whether you want to call it karma or whatever word you want to say for it, the people that dished it out usually got it in return. And it never made me feel good to see them suffer. Like there were moments where I was angry at people, really angry at people, for theft or for lying or for whatever. But then over the course of time, life took from them the cost of that, and it did not make me feel better about it. And all I do now is, and it's not even just like family. This is gonna sound super stupid, but this is just how I feel. I don't care. At the end of the day, do whatever you want to me. Disrespect me, hate me, whatever. But one of the things you'll never have, one of the powers I will never give you is the ability to say, like, I wish wrong for you, or like I was rude to you, or any of these things. Nope. Treated you all with respect. I treated you all with kindness. I treated you all with affection. If you ask me for something, I'll do my best effort to get it. And at the end of the day, when you talk to people about me, oh, Ariane's this, Ariane's that. Oh, well, what did he do to you? You'll have nothing to say. Yeah. Because I did nothing to you. Yeah. That's my goal now. Kill him with kindness. I will say that is probably the meanest thing I've ever said to anybody. So, and I don't do that. That's not like a regular. I was very under the influence when I said it, and I was very angry and very hurt. So this is also darkness to this, though, because I think retaliation is like what people would perceive to be the reaction. So like they're kind of waiting for it. But I think it stings more when someone slaps you in the face and you give them a kiss on the cheek. Yep. Because it only reinforces that what they did was wrong. And I've found that when I give ground, it actually, as cliche as it sounds, it's the truth, it has resulted in the designated outcome that I wanted was for them to realize that they were wrong. And every time I reacted with anger or, whatever, I never got the designated outcome that I wanted. But whenever I reacted with love or patience or whatever, I always did. Maybe not at that moment. Right. Yeah. A week later, a month later, a year later, I always got, you know what, Ariane? I never forgot about that day. You're absolutely right. I shouldn't have done that. Cool. Yeah. On to the next, brother. And I've actually remedied all the bridges with all my family members. All of them. Yeah. I don't have anything bad to say about anyone. I've even forgiven myself. Yeah. For some of the shit that I've done and said. Because at the end of the day, your mom passed on that one specific day with no pre-existing, outside of the high blood pressure. Right. She could have had another 10 years, or she could have had less than 10 years, right? We don't know when our day is going to be. The only thing I think now is, if it's tomorrow, I don't want anybody at my grave saying that I slighted them or that I did wrong by them.
I'm going to pick your brain.
Sure.
So.
By the way, I'm not trying to like lecture you. Forgive me.
No, I don't feel like that. So I have 2 family members I don't speak to. The one I was just speaking on, and the other one's my brother.
How old is your brother? Younger or older?
He's 6 years older than me.
Okay.
And it is because so one night, it's going to sound so silly too. There was a leftover steak and shake cheeseburger on the counter. Oh, everybody was laying down. Okay. I was staying at my dad's at this time. I had just started staying there. And he was there with his girlfriend and his son in the back room. I think like 1 or 2. My little sister was there and my father was there. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Everybody was laying down. Like, okay, extra cheeseburger, sweet. And I'm eating it, right? My brother comes out of the room, opens the fridge, and I'm like halfway eating this cheeseburger. And I'm like, hey, like, are you looking for that cheeseburger? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I'm so sorry. I ate it. I was like, I thought you were asleep. I thought it was extra. And I even immediately, because I knew he was going to be pissed, was like, I'll go get you one. Like, I'm so sorry. He picks me up by my throat, literally. He's 6'3" and like 200 pounds. Picks me up by my throat, wrestled his whole life too, slams me on the ground and is choking me with my sweatshirt. And I'm a strong person. I'm doing everything I can to get him off of me. So that happens, and then it progresses. My dad comes out there, obviously, because of the commotion. It progresses, and he's screaming in my face, calling me a meth whore, all this nasty stuff. Punches me in the side of my face. No, and then spits in my face. My dad gets in between us, and then it's broken up for a second. And my dad goes back into his room because he was in his underwear, so he went to go get clothes on. Yeah.
Please.
And,
last thing I want to do is fuck my dad and his wedding teddies.
Yeah. And so then I'm in the living room, and my brother follows me into the living room, still yelling, still, causing a commotion, picks me up again, slams me on the hardwood floor. I call a friend and I leave. I haven't talked to him since.
This is tough. So here's my honest assessment to this. How long ago was this? 10 years ago?
Nope. About a year ago.
Okay. To show kindness and love to someone who has wronged you is not forgiving them of what they
True.
did. You can explain to them and have a conversation with them and extend to them a grace that you don't want to give and extend. When I told you the things about my family members, I didn't forgive them. I just made sure that they understood that I would not let that impede on the way that my mom would still have wanted me to act with my family members. So what I would tell you is, I think what he did is heinous. I think what he did was overreacting. I think what he did was incredibly violent and all these other things. And that just like you have demons that cause you to do actions that the general populace might not necessarily understand, perhaps there are underlying things that he was going through that kind of cause that. Now, does that make that okay? Does that like somehow scapegoat him? No. You can give grace and extend that, open that door for communication and extend him that he does not deserve in order to begin the process of possibly healing. Because I know one thing for sure. If nothing is said for the entirety of your lives together, then nothing will happen.
Yeah.
But at the very least, if we open a door and possibly give grace, then we don't know what will happen. It could be negative. He could be like, go fuck you, you meth whore. Okay,
Yeah.
well, and then at the end of the day, Dakota, you did all that you could. Your soul can rest at ease.
And I do have a nephew that I would like to see.
And have a relationship with. And that's the other thing you could start saying is like, whatever we have, whatever animosity we have, whatever friction we have, we are not isolated and we have to be adults. And if you dislike me for acts that I've done, by all means, tell me. Maybe I've wronged you, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
However, how would I have known these things if you've never communicated them and the only time you ever showed me was violence?
Yeah.
This is how, whenever I talked with my family members, it's never like I find that I have the best success with communication when I start with what I've done wrong first, because it lowers the guard. It lowers the defenses. It's like, hey,
Right.
I'm not perfect. I'm a dumbass. I'm a piece of shit. I'm all the things that you're thinking about it. You're right. However, that doesn't mean that you're not on the same boat as me. You're also a dumbass. You're also a piece of shit. You're also all these other things. So now that we've acknowledged we're on the same path, I want to remedy this. You're right. I did all these things. I said all these things and they weren't right. And I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I don't want this to extend past today. This is what I tell all my family members. I don't care. I don't care. It happened. There's nothing I can do about it. What I can do about now is the future. You have a nephew. I want to be in his life. I also want to be a positive role model of his life, and I'm doing things on my end to be that.
Yeah.
And I hope you see that. And yes, I fucked up. And yes, I'm this, I'm that. You also fucked up. And I'm willing to open this door and say, can we move on?
Yeah.
I haven't forgiven you yet. That'll take time.
Yeah.
And maybe I never will. But I won't allow for that. At the end of the day, and this is whatever I tell my family members, somewhere in us is the same blood, however diluted.
Yeah.
First cousin, second cousin, whatever. Brother, even more so, right? Like more.
Yeah, we grew up I mean,
We share the same womb at one point in time.
Yeah.
Mom, we have the same mom.
yeah.
Before I kick the bucket on this planet, I want to make sure that you and I have a good relationship together. Because that could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or that can be 40 years from now. I don't know.
You know.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong, Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
This is just the way I approach it now.
Yeah. And I respect it and I appreciate it. And but it's also
Easy for me to say.
yeah, but I don't know if I care whether he's alive or not. I'm at that point. I care about his son. I don't know if I care if he's alive or not anymore at this point. Not that I want him dead. I don't hate him. I just don't think I care anymore.
I think there are acts that have led you to where you are today. And that is perfectly okay. But just like we were talking earlier about how you weren't always an alcoholic and that was learned.
Yeah.
You didn't always feel like this about your brother, right?
No.
What about when you were little? I'm sure you didn't. So if there were acts that could lead you to this point, there are acts that could lead you out of that point. However, it's only possible if you allow for the opportunity for those acts to happen.
True.
And mind you, maybe you allow it, maybe you try, and you get shut down. And this is my thing, is like, do not consider this a success if you get the designated outcome. It's a success for even doing it.
Yeah.
Because you extended a grace and a kindness that wasn't extended to you and may have never been extended to you. It's not about winning or getting the designated outcome. It's about doing the right thing. You did the right thing. You extended the hand, you opened the door, you gave grace. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You can't force anything on anybody.
Yeah.
And then he has to sit with that. And it might not be today. It might not be a week, a year. It might not be until the day he dies. And maybe he never even words it to you, but it's a regret that he has when he meets his maker. But I'm telling you, I've had 100%, like I've hit on this 100%. Okay, you've wronged me. I don't care. That happened. I don't care. Can we move on? Please don't wrong me again.
Yeah. Because
Please don't wrong me again.
at that point, I'm definitely not the same person that I was.
Yeah.
Even when it happened.
Well, he doesn't know your story. And how can he know your story if you guys aren't in a position where you guys can speak together?
Yeah.
Communication is the only way that we can articulate our lived experience towards one another.
Right.
I don't know any of these things about you until I sat down and talked to you.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are things he doesn't know about you because you haven't sat down and talked to him. Now, will he sit down and talk? I don't know. But I know for certain that if no one does anything, then for certain it won't happen.
True. Yeah. If you don't
So
try, then
it's not like I'm like some genius or anything like that. It's like literally there's two options. Option one is nothing changes.
right.
Well, then it's insane for me to think that something will change if nothing changes. So at least option two, even if the percentage is like sub 1%, that's better than nothing changes. I only gain from this course of action. I only gain. What is he going to say? Oh, well, that fucking bitch, she came in and she wanted to talk to me.
Right. True. Yeah.
She wants to have a relationship with my son. Fuck her. What do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then
Does it
people are
sound
gonna
bad
be
to me?
like,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. And then who's he going to tell that to? Yeah, I fucking, wait, what? She just wanted to talk. You know what I mean? Like, there's no ground to be lost here because there's no ground to lose. You're at 0.
Yeah, true. We
So-
don't speak currently, so.
Yeah. And then what's the worst thing that happens? You open the door and he's like, fuck you. Just be like, just want you to know I love you.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people. My uncle told me a story that made me cry when he was telling me about it when I was in Europe just like 2 months ago. And it's a regret that he holds, and this was, a decade plus for him now, where my mom just called him to talk to him. And my uncle at the time was like, he's the baby of the family. He's like, I'm busy. I can't talk to you or whatever. A month later, my mom died. And like my uncle had never like called her back or whatever. And this was like before, you could just FaceTime someone. This is back when you had to like Skype people from a laptop, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of showing the age of this. But my uncle was telling me about it. And he's like, all she wanted was to talk to me. And I told her I was too busy. And she told me, it's okay. I just wanted you to know that I wanted to talk to you. I just miss my brother.
Yeah.
So he can feel however he wants to feel. And you can still feel however you want to feel. And maybe you don't care if he lives or dies. And maybe all these other things. But I guarantee you that there's like a path that got you to this point. And that path can be whatever. After this, it could be wherever it goes. It can't go worse because you guys don't have a relationship. What are you gonna do? Hate him more? Like, okay, maybe. So then it can only get better. So why not?
Yeah, you're right.
And maybe you don't do it tomorrow. Maybe you don't do it for a year. But my advice is do it.
I think another side to that too, that also worries me if I were to ever do that, is, as far as I know, he also doesn't speak to any of my sisters and vice versa. And so I do. And I wouldn't want someone, and I know that everybody's their own person, they can do what they want, and they shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. But also, I wouldn't want somebody or my sister, any of my sisters, to feel like their experience with him was insignificant by me opening that door and like I said, now saying it out loud, it sounds silly, but
Yeah, tell him to stop being selfish.
yeah,
That's not your
and I don't think
relationship.
they would.
He's my brother.
That's anxiety. My brain just like going and going and
He's
going
your
and
brother.
thinking about
He's
it.
my brother.
Yeah.
What are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
He may have slighted you too, sister, right? And then look at me, like lead by example.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that I'm not even saying that your brother probably deserves this.
Yeah.
It's not about what it is, irrespective of him. It has everything to do with you.
Yeah.
You gave the grace. Let him decide what he wants to do with it. But at the end of the day, you tried. And what else can we do as human beings? We can't force people. All we can do is try. Yeah. And I'm telling you, 100% chance. At least in my lifetime. It wasn't always immediate. Like I said, sometimes it was like the next day, like a text message. Sometimes it was a month later. Sometimes it was like 2 years was the longest one. Yeah. Where a cousin of mine called me and was like, I'm so fucking sorry. Yeah. I was like, hey, man, I'm here. You want me to fly out? You want to fly out? Spend the weekend with me? Remedied it.
Yeah. I guess I'm just tired of seeing, like, on social media, I'm friends with I have a big family, so my cousins that do talk to him, like, randomly he'll pop up on, like, in a picture
Your
at
timeline
my
or whatever.
cousins. Yeah. And I guess I'm just tired of, like, seeing it and getting angry. Like, I don't want to feel angry.
It's
for
power
no
over
reason.
you.
Yeah, I don't want to feel angry for no reason. And sometimes I say no reason, and then I feel like, but there is a reason. It's like, he did this. But it's like, okay.
Is it possible that someone can do something wrong and still not be a bad person?
Yeah, I've done some terrible shit, man. And I don't think I'm a bad person deep down. Like,
yeah,
you're right.
I know, but by the way, it sounds super easy for me right now to say this.
Right, yeah.
But this was also something that I was wrestling with. It was really hard for me to call some of these people because I know how much I dislike them. And by the way, even though I've called them and did all these things, I still have not forgiven them. I have not forgotten, but I just don't let it lord over me. I don't care. I don't care. Slap me in the face, do whatever you want. I don't care.
I'll be over it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're my family.
Yeah.
I only have so many of you. And you might be pieces of shit. And you might not deserve this grace. You might not deserve any of the kindness that I afford to you. But on the day of my death, it's a selfish act. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. Yeah. On the day of my death, when my time comes, none of you will be able to sit at my grave and say a bad word.
Yeah.
So.
And if you do, fuck you. No, I'm just joking.
Honestly, no. Yeah. Before we were 2 hours in.
Oh, wow.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
I hope this was what you expected.
Yeah, it was fun. I've watched your show a few times, and actually, I said, what did I say the other day? Oh, whenever you messaged me, I'm pretty sure I was sitting in the gym with Kirk. I said, well, it's about damn time Arian asked me to be on the podcast. And jokingly, of course, but I was like, yes, I'm excited.
And Kirk was like,
so,
I know, right?
Yeah.
Here's the problem. It's a good problem to have. I just know so many people from so many walks of life. And the problem with the podcast is I'm the limiting factor. So it's like, how much time do I have? If I do 2 of these a year, 2 of these a week for a year, I have 108 episodes. And I think 2 is a lot because it's like 2-3 hours, you know what I mean? So the problem is I know at least like 500 cool people, which is like a luxury to have.
Yeah.
So it's not like I feel bad because I've had some people have that reaction, but they weren't joking or they weren't poking fun.
Yeah.
And once again, I just go, hey, you're right. Sorry I didn't have you first.
Sorry, man.
You know what I mean? But,
yeah.
but then I always say, like, you can be back on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then every time you're back on as a repeat guest, that means someone else who hasn't been on yet has to wait another week.
Yeah.
No, it's a luxury. I'm glad you had that reaction because then you're like confident in yourself as well. And that's what I want people to have. Like I want people on that are like, no, I have a story. I have something to say.
Been through a lot of shit. I've done a lot of shit. I feel like I've overcome a lot of stuff and, I hope it was interesting.
Oh yeah. Much more than I thought it was going to be. I had an idea of what this conversation was going to be. It turned out a lot better than what I originally thought. And I just wanted to let you know that thank you for the time. Thank you for the transparency because it's hard to open up about these things. And just thank you for being open for this.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate
Dakota,
you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.